Yo, I was in the middle of editing a video, getting my video ready for Saturday, talking about the off season and all the crazy moves that happen. And as I'm editing, I get a notification on my phone from the great Adrian Wojnarowski. Russell Westbrook and John Wall are basically swapping. Westbrook's going to the Washington Wizards, and John Wall's going to the Houston Rockets. I mean, yo, holy shit. This is an unbelievable trade. How do you react to this, right? Like, it came out of nowhere, too. I think that's what made it even, more shocking was just that there wasn't any, advanced talks. There wasn't any steps toward it happening, right? There wasn't there were talks about Westbrook. Of course, he requested a trade a few weeks ago, but, nothing really came out of it until from, that point. And there was talks about the Westbrook Wall, swap, but the Wizards GM said, nah, nothing's happening. We're not doing anything. We're not making moves. We're going to keep John Wall and we're going to keep Bradley Beal because we believe in them. Lo and behold, he's out. and they get Russell Westbrook back. I mean, how do you react to this? The first thing is first, when you try to talk about, who won this trade, you can't really say. You can't say who won this trade. Obviously, we're going to first have to wait and see how these guys play on these new teams and how they adjust. We'll see how that happens. But on paper, I like this for both teams, to be honest. Here's the first thing. Let's talk about John Wall because he's an interesting guy because he is, when he was healthy, a few years ago, man, he was on top. He was in the conversation for, best point guard in the league. The Wizards team was, they weren't championship contenders, but they were a team that made it in the playoffs, and they would put up a fight, and they would try to get pretty far. So, that Wall and Beal duo was just incredible to watch when they were healthy. And then, just injury after injury, it just, kept him off. And, it's just been so long since we've seen him play. It's been over 2 years. We haven't seen him play since 2018, which is insane to think about. Over 2 years without watching John Wall play. And he's going to be in a Houston Rockets jersey the next time he plays. That's wild to think about. But, man, first things first, I just hope he's healthy. Before anything else, how does he fit with Harden and all that stuff? First things first, I just hope he's healthy and he's playing. Because if he's at a high level, if he's playing at a high level like he does when he did before the injuries, then it's great. Because he's such a fun player to watch. So, first things first, I hope he's healthy. Does he fit with Harden? I don't know. We're going to have to see. John Wall has been he's been a guy who's been on the ball most of the time, man. When you have James Harden on your team, you got to learn how to play off ball. That's just the simple fact. Even if you have someone like John Wall, you saw it with Westbrook. You have two guys who are the primary ball handlers. It just becomes this odd thing. So I'm worried that that's just going to happen again with John Wall. But it definitely isn't a bad move still because John Wall is more of a traditional point guard. He's not like a score-first guy. He is more of you could say he's a playmaker, but he also scores. But it's not to the extent that Westbrook does. So, I think he'll fit better in Houston than Westbrook did. This is just early predictions. That I think Wall might fit a little bit better than Westbrook did in Houston. If he's healthy, first of all. But also, just think about it. The Rockets made a lot of different changes. They have a new head coach. They have new management. And they're not playing this small ball game anymore. So their starting lineup looks different. I guess you could say, right? Because you can now have John Wall, James Harden. They got Christian Wood, which I think is a huge dub. They got PJ Tucker still. And then they also got DeMarcus Cousins. So, that's an interesting starting five. Definitely not bad, and barring anything happening with James Harden, we're assuming that he's gonna play this season at least, because they don't look like they're gonna be shipping James Harden off anytime soon, even if he's requesting a trade. That's not a bad Houston Rockets team, and obviously it's gonna depend on if John Wall stays healthy, and also if Boogie stays healthy because he's been dealing with injuries back and forth. And look, here's another thing: John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins are back. That's cool. They played in Kentucky, and they're going to be playing together again. They were roommates and all that stuff. So, that connection's there already, which is obviously having that as a plus for any team. And when I see that, it kind of reminds me. You guys remember 2K11 during if you played My Player on 2K11, and you would be on the draft combine, and I remember like a bunch of the players that were there. It was like John Wall, Xavier Henry, and it was DeMarcus Cousins. It was like when I see them two together, it just reminds me of that. So now that I see them together in Houston, or we're gonna see them play in Houston, hopefully, that's gonna be interesting. Now, in terms of the Wizards, I think this is a huge positive for the Wizards because, with Wall being hurt, they really haven't had a great point guard until that time, and Bradley Beal's just been kind of left alone, and the Wizards have stunk. Let's be clear about it. They did get a good rookie. They got Rui Hachimura, who's been good, and I think getting Westbrook is definitely a plus because they're automatically going from having no point guard at all or having an injured point guard who isn't playing to now having Russell Westbrook. And I think that's going to be good for them. Obviously, look, Russ's play style is so unique and different that I don't know how Beal's going to adjust to that. We'll have to wait and see because, man, I love Bradley Beal and I want to see him play well and also be winning. So I'm hoping that having Westbrook on that backcourt is going to help him. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens with that. But I don't know. I like the move. I like the move for the Wizards. This definitely puts them in the playoffs, conversation for the East, because if you think about the Eastern Conference, there's a few teams that I would consider on the verge of being playoff teams. They're not right there. Like, they're not going to be automatic playoffs, but they're like on the verge. I would say the Wizards are there now. They probably you could argue that they probably are going to make the playoffs now because of just having Westbrook and Beal, two guys who are going to help. So, I would say the Wizards are there. I would say the Hornets with the moves they've made, I would say they're there. I would say the Bulls are there. So the fight for the playoffs in the East is going to be very interesting. And it was already interesting before this move. And now that, Westbrook's going to be in the East and with Washington, I'm very curious to see how this ends up. I like this trade. It was a big shock. It came out of nowhere. But, it's the beauty of the sport, man. No offseason does this, man. No sport does this. Like, a big trade just, drops out of nowhere and, Twitter breaks and the internet just goes crazy. I don't think that happens with any sport except for the NBA, which I love because, your league could never, man. You can't be just chilling and then getting a notification about a bomb like this. It's crazy, but I love everything about it. Man, this is I love it because it just came out of nowhere, man. It's so cool. But yeah, this is huge. This is very huge. It changes a lot of the moves that we've been talking about so far with the offseason. You have to add another thing to the list of the conversation. And this sucks for me because on Saturday I have a video where I'm talking about the winners of the offseason. And I made the video. I just finished editing it too. And it's not going to talk about this trade, because I recorded that video a few days ago before this trade happened. So, when you see that video on Saturday, keep it in. And I'll probably just post a reminder too when I upload it. But, just a reminder that this was before this trade went down. This came in the middle of nowhere, on a Wednesday evening. I was not expecting this. No one was expecting it. It just came out of nowhere, and now everyone's going crazy. But, it's crazy. The memes obviously are going to be funny. Westbrook dribbling while Bradley Beal just sits there. The meme of Bradley Beal just, laying down, playing dead is going to be going everywhere. The jokes about John Wall and James Harden at strip clubs in Houston. Oh, my gosh. I love Twitter, man. I love basketball. I love the NBA, but I also love NBA Twitter because they are ruthless. They're funny. I love everything about it. All right, I'm going to wrap up the video here. Thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, please be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you think of this trade. I feel like there's so many angles you can take with this trade and how many ways you can look at it. So the way I see this trade might not be the way you see this trade. So that's why I'm kind of interested to see how you guys feel about it. Let me know in the comments. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Show your support. I'd greatly appreciate it. And yeah, thank you guys for the support. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.